Yo, what's up? This is Sleet. Welcome to another video. Today I'm talking about the Champions League quarterfinal tie between Manchester City and Olympique Lyon. Like the last Champions League tie and pretty much every Champions League game, I'm very nervous for City, but I think this time I'm a little more confident. We are a much better team than Lyon and we should go through. But it's important that the players and Pep himself don't get cocky or arrogant or think that this tie's won just because we just beat Real Madrid and this is Lyon. And this team, with a couple of changes, did cause City a lot of problems. They beat us, I think it was 2 years ago, and then drew with us. And in both of those games, they really dominated the midfield, which is normally City's strongest point in their team. So I think they can cause issues, and they've got the players to really get at City. But I think City should have the overall ability and talent to get through. Okay, starting off, I want to talk about both of the lineups for City. I think Pep is going to go with something very similar to the last game. Actually, I think he'll probably go almost exactly as the last game. Of course, Ederson is going to play in goal. We don't really have anybody that challenges him at all, and he's a fantastic keeper. Walker was, I think, our best player against Real Madrid, so he's definitely going to start. Then it'll be Fernandinho again. I think he was decent. He wasn't really tested against Real Madrid, but I thought he did well when he did have to deal with things. Laporte's our star defender. He'll be the other center back. And while Mendy returns from suspension, I just don't trust him for this game. It's too important and he's got too many mistakes in him. He's not match ready, I don't think, after being out for a while. I think it's just going to be Cancelo playing, and he did well against Real Madrid. He's the reason we conceded the goal that we did, but overall I thought he did well, and I think he'll do well against Lyon tomorrow if he plays. In the midfield, this is where I got the team wrong for predicting the lineup against Real Madrid. I think Pep's going to go with what he did against Real Madrid. I think it's going to be Gundogan and Rodri as holding mids, and I thought Gundogan did well. I thought he was going to be a liability before the game, but he ended up doing well, and he deserves at least to start. If he's doing poorly, we do have players that can replace him. If more energy is needed to kind of compete against Lyon, I think he might throw in Foden, or he might play Bernardo back there. But Gundogan was decent against Real Madrid, and Lyon don't have the same exact midfield that they had last time, so I don't think they will cause as many problems through the middle. Particularly, Ndombele was a real nightmare against City last year, or whenever we played them. I don't remember exactly, but Ndombele just has great pace and he breaks the line really easily against less mobile players, and that's exactly what Gundogan is. And against Gundogan and Rodri, if Ndombele was playing, I might not play both of them as that double pivot, but I think maybe Aouar will be a problem, but I don't think Kakare or any of the other midfielders are really going to just storm through our team the way Ndombele was capable of and Fekir was before. In front of them, I think he'll have a lot of license in this game. I think it'll be De Bruyne. Because there's two midfielders that I think are going to start behind him, I think De Bruyne will be allowed to just go wherever he wants. He'll be able to go on both sides. He does tend to prefer the right, but he can deliver from the left. He can cut in and shoot on either foot. He's good on both sides. And he's our danger man, and I think his quality will be hopefully what gets us through to the next round and can win us the Champions League. It'll be De Bruyne leading the charge for that. Front line is a little harder for me to predict. I think Sterling and Jesus were both fantastic in the game against Real Madrid, and I think they're bound to start. I thought Foden was another surprise starter from the last game, and he was good for the first half. He was very technically sound. He got passes off. He was getting shots off. He seemed very confident. And I think his mobility and I think being a fan, he just knows how important this is. He runs back. He gets back. He gets forward. He knows when we need to create something. He knows when he should be going back to help the team defend. And you can't say that for all of our players, but Foden, I think, has that strength to him. Pep might turn to him because he does have that mobility and ability to track back. I think the only other player that has that in our team is Bernardo, in terms of how good he is going back and forward. And he always seems to run, which is similar to Foden. So it could be Bernardo that starts against French opposition as well. He might be used to playing against Lyon from his time at Monaco. But I think I'm going to go with Foden as the starter. Mahrez is very good, and he's honestly been our second best player this season. He just doesn't have that same ability to track back, and I think that's what Pep wants the most in these games. If we do end up going behind and we need a goal, Mahrez can always come on and create something, and I back him to create something if he does come on. After how the team played last time against Real Madrid, and we really needed to have that doggedness to our game, I don't think I can see Mahrez coming back into the team to start. I think if we need a goal, he's always there to come in, and maybe Pep will start him because of how good he's been, but I just don't back him because of his defensive ability. Moving on to Lyon, this is not the same Lyon team that I'm used to. In general, they've lost a lot of their better players, and in the league this year, they didn't do very well. I think they got to the final of the Cup, and they lost to PSG a couple of weeks ago. I think that was a close game though, 2-1, which shows that they do have quality, but I think in the league they finished like 7th or 8th or something like that. And over the past couple of years, they've lost some of their star players. They lost Lacazette a good while ago, and then last year they lost Ndombele and Fekir. And all of those players are very talented and would cause City a lot of issues if they were still there. I think in goal, they're going to start with Anthony Lopez. He's a decent goalkeeper. I think he's a little short and he can be got at, but in terms of reaction time, I think he's a very top keeper. And he's a real believer. When they beat Juventus, I saw a lot of emotion from him, and I do like him. I just think that City will put a couple past him. Left back for them, I think it's Marcel. Haven't seen a lot of this guy. He's Brazilian. I think he's not the fastest, so I think that's a weak point in their team. I know a decent amount about a lot of other leagues, and I don't really recognize either of their fullbacks. I think those will be the players that Pep targets in this game. On the other side of the field, they have Dubois, a French right back. I don't think he's great either. I think he, as well, is lacking pace, and he can be got at in terms of attacking. In their center back position, it's a little interesting. They have Marcelo, who I think is good, experienced. I've seen him play before. I think he's decent in the air, but again, he's not a top defender by any means. And then the other center back that I think they'll play is Denier, and this, of course, is an ex-City player. I used to really like Denier when he was playing at Celtic with Van Dijk, and I saw how good Van Dijk was when he left Celtic. I was expecting Denier to come back to City, and he was kind of touted during that time as being better than Van Dijk. And that sounds very crazy to say now, but that was what people were saying. And I thought he'd come back into City, and he'd eventually make a big difference in our team, but that didn't happen. And again, I think he is a liability at the back to an extent. What Denier really relishes is physical battles. I think he's pretty quick for a center back, and he's stocky, so he wins a lot of shoulder to shoulders. But when it comes to playing out from the back, I don't think he was good enough for City, and I think that's why inevitably we let him go. So if City are able to pressure Lyon in the same way that we did against Real Madrid, I think that Denier and pretty much their whole back line is culpable to give the ball away, and I think we can force mistakes out of them. Midfield, this is Lyon's strength, I think, and it's also where City are strong. So that will be a really interesting battle that I think can kind of decide where the game goes. I think Lyon will play with Aouar, of course, who's very good. Behind him, I think Guimaraes, who's another Brazilian, I think. He's a defensive mid. I think he's got a good engine on him. I haven't seen much of him play, to be honest, so I'm not sure how great he is. Aouar, of course, is a fantastic player. He's very technically gifted. He likes to run with the ball. He likes to dribble. He's also capable of getting back. On top of having good energy, he just also has an incredible technique to his game, and I think he's their main danger man. The other midfielder they have is Kakare, who's young. I used to watch Kakare a little bit when he was kind of being talked about when he was in their academy. He seems like a decent player. Physically, I think he might be a little out of his depth, or maybe he's not super developed, but of course soccer is played mostly on the ground, or football is played mostly on the ground, if you prefer me to call it that. And he can cause problems. Again, like Aouar, he's a good dribbler, he's very technically gifted. But if they're going to be an attacking team, City can really get at them, and their defense is not the strongest, and City can score a lot of goals against players like that, especially if the midfield isn't helping them defend. Up top, Lyon have the kind of players that can hurt City on the counter, but overall, I'm not completely afraid of them. I think they've got Moussa Dembele as their striker. He's a decent striker. He's fast. I don't think his touch is the best. I don't think he's all around a fantastic striker, but I think if you get the ball towards him, he can finish, and he's decently paced, so he can get in behind our defense. In their front line, the main issue, of course, is Memphis Depay. Very skillful, very fast. He's got a lot of tricks. He can shoot from far out. Didn't really work for him at Man United. That might be how a lot of Premier League fans remember him, but I think he's proved over the last couple of years at Lyon that he is a top talent, and he is a great player. He's been in the Netherlands team. He's the kind of guy that can skip past somebody like Walker or Cancelo or maybe Fernandinho, and he'll get by them, and if he takes a chance, he could change the whole game because he's got the skill and the technique to do that. On the other wing, I'm not 100% sure who they're going to go with. I know Maxwell Cornet is fast. I think they still have the Bertrand Traore, who's the ex-Chelsea player. Both of those players, whoever they choose to play, are skillful, quick, good finishers. But on the other side, we just have better players. Okay, now that I've gone over both teams, if you just weren't following, I think I'm going to put a little graphic on the screen. Again, I'm going to use, I think, Footbin, and just take little screenshots of the lineups that I think are going to play in the game tomorrow. As long as Pep takes this as seriously as I think he's going to, and maybe if he just doesn't overthink it as well, this isn't the same team that beat us a while ago. They're different in key areas, So you should be preparing for how they are now and not the team we lost to before. But if Pep does that and the players all take this seriously, we should comfortably go through. City are just the better team. My predicted score, part of me wants to say 2-0. I think we were good against Real Madrid in terms of keeping them limited in terms of like how many shots or chances that they did have. But the fact that Cancelo got beaten so easily by Rodrigo, and Lyon have similar players to Rodrigo and Depay or whoever their other winger is, Cornet is like that as well. Players like that can just be a man. They can get past Cancelo potentially, and a similar goal could be scored. What happened against Real Madrid? So I think Lyon might score. The final score I'm going to go with, I think, is 3-1. I kind of hope it's 2-0 or 3-0, and City just control the game. And while I think City will control the game to an extent, I think Lyon will have enough ability to get something back. And this is where things get really serious. If City win this, they're in the semi-final against Bayern, which is going to be a huge game in itself. But that'll only be the second time ever we got to the semi-final. And I really love if we could win the Champions League this year. We really need the Champions League. It's no secret that UEFA doesn't like City. I think of the times that we've gone out in recent years, a lot of it has been down to poor refereeing, and that's why City need to be at the top of their game. We can't allow the referee to make a bad call that costs us the game. We need to just dominate the game and score enough goals. It doesn't matter what the referee does, and I believe in our team enough to go out and accomplish that. I think City will win fairly comfortably, and I am nervous for the game, but mostly I'm just excited to see where City go in the competition. If you got this far, thank you for watching. It means a lot to me. Remember to like and comment. I'd love to hear what you guys think is going to happen in the game tomorrow, or your score predictions for the game. Subscribe. It means a lot. I make a lot of football or soccer videos, and I'm going to continue to do that for as long as I find it fun, and I hope that other people enjoy them and are able to have a discussion with me. Anyways, thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.